going to do a few little advanced, random, this and that Photoshop stuff. In the end, it's going to look something like this. And here's the file that you'll download and begin with. So you can see we've got a little ways to go here on this. So we're going to start here at the top, dealing with this text. And most of these things regarding text, we kind of already know how to do. So for instance, on this cheering word, I'm going to click on the type tool, and we're going to use the warp. This is the type warp, so it's up on that options bar. And this is a bulge, and of course we don't want to go too crazy with it here, but we do want to make it bigger in the middle. Oh, going crazy here, even though I said not to go crazy. All right, then once you've got that set, you'll just press OK. Remember that the layer will change to have a little warp underneath it so you can tell that it has been warped. Next, if we take a look, we can see that there are multiple strokes. So in the past, we have had one stroke, but we've never added multiple strokes. So we all should know that we hit the FX button to get to layer styles, and that's how we access this menu that will give us the stroke. And so we have the first stroke. Now, I'm not going to be too worried about what yours looks like as far as the colors of the stroke here, but so, for example, you can have multiple strokes. Now, mine, because I've had multiple strokes in the past, mine says stroke, 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 stroke. Yours won't. Yours will just say stroke, but there'll be a plus sign here. So for the first stroke, this would be the smallest stroke, the one that you would put on the inside. So I'm going to put a 3-pixel black stroke. And then you would push the plus sign to give you a second line. I already have a second line, so now I click on the second line. And then notice now we can see an additional stroke coming around that. And it has to be bigger than the initial stroke sometimes, or we won't be able to see it. So once we get that big enough, there we go. So there's that one. So I've got a black and then a white. And then I'm going to add another. And then in this case, I've got a much bigger one, a 16. I don't want it to be quite that big. Let's tone that down just a smidgen. Well, 16 is good. All right. And then I'll just make that one a red one. Yeah, I mean, you could keep going here, honestly. You could give it all kinds of different strokes if you want, different strokes for different folks, right? And then you just continue to make them larger each time. So there we go. So there's that one. That is multiple strokes. In this next one, we're actually going to vary a little bit from the example. Oh, wait, before we go on, you can see there is a light glow around the outside edge of that. So we are going to add that glow as well. Remember, once you've already added effects, you can just simply click effects again, double click there to bring back up that window. And we're going to add an outer glow, which we have to scroll down to get to. And then mess with the settings for spread and size. And remember, if you were doing a project and your glow needed to be a different color other than this white color, you would click here to change that color. All right, so I've got mine set here and we're looking good. Now, again, we're going to deviate a little bit from the beginning example here. So I'm going to take this one. Notice that this has an inner glow, but in addition to that, it's got multiple strokes. Now, what I'm going to do instead, though, is show you how to take the exact same strokes from this top one and apply them to this one. So we're going to vary just a little here. So we'll take our original. We're going to click on that heart. And before we go and apply that, let's actually first go to this one and let's copy these styles. So you're going to right click here and copy the layer styles. And then we're going to click on the heart layer and then right click, and we're going to paste those layer styles. And immediately then it's going to give it those exact same settings for those strokes. And that's pretty cool. For this one, though, we don't need an outer glow and we need an inner glow instead. So I'm just going to double click effects again to bring that up. I'm going to uncheck that outer glow because we don't want that. And we're going to choose an inner glow. And then again, you choose your settings, but I think that looks fine, maybe a little too much. We'll choke it back a little. And there we go. So there's our second one. So we've gone through then adding multiple strokes, and then we've also gone through copying and pasting those layer styles and modifying it for our needs. All right, let's move on. Next up, let's go ahead and address this girl here. We are going to take the circle and put the girl in the circle, and then we're going to stroke the circle with dots. That's right, dots, not something that we've done before. So let's go ahead and attack that. Now, first off, we should already know, and I'm going to collapse these effects so I don't have to stare at them all. We should know that we've got the photo here, and we've got the circle here, and I need to have those next to each other because we're going to be clipping the photo into the circle. So right now I've got the circle behind just so we can see, but we actually need the photo to be on top because we're going to clip it down into the circle. But first you always need to look at it because I need to make sure that her hand is hanging out and her head is hanging out. Then I'm going to go ahead and reposition these layers. I'm going to zoom up, and we're going to go ahead and select the parts of her that we want to make sure that hang out of the circle. Now, this doesn't have to be everything because honestly, part of this is going to be in the circle. We're only concerned with parts that would hang out. I don't think this neck is going to be in that, so it doesn't really matter. And this whole hand isn't going to be either, so it's not fully like a big deal that we get every single part of it here. Whoops, that's too far, so we'll back out of that. Now, if you were doing this for real, I would tell you to zoom up really close here and make sure that you're getting all of these extra little edges. Of course, I don't want to take a bunch of time to do that now, but you be sure that yours has a pretty decent look there and the parts that are going to hang out that they show. And of course, best case would be to hit select and mask and double check it. Now, if you're seeing a little bit of a glow around the outside edge, I see a little bit of black here, just shift your edge in a little bit. Usually that helps, or you can go up here and on your edge detection. If that's not open, give it a little bit of a radius, and that typically will fix some of that. Oops, looks like I just kind of crashed my whole thing here. Let's see if we can get back into it. All right, that's not good. All right, we'll try to radius that out a little bit and then shift that edge a little bit and see if we can't crash everything in the world. All right, I'm going to hit OK here and hope for the best. All right, so now if we turn off the layer that has her on there, we need to take this area and layer via copy. You can right-click it, or you can right-click in New and layer via copy. That's going to give us a copy so that we have this. And all we're worried about are the parts that hang out. That's all that really matters. But anyway, so we've got that up here. Let's call these parts. And then, like we said before, we've got the photo on top of the circle, and we're going to clipping mask that in. You right-click, create clipping mask, or you can hold down Alt, and then click between those layers where you get this little down arrow, and then bam, we're good to go there. So now we've got her hanging out of her circle. Next, though, we must add the dotted stroke. We cannot do that with the FX button. We don't have control over the stroke in there. So we got to switch back to our shape tool because this is a shape. So we need to get the shapes options up here at the top. And if you notice up here, shape options, it's set to shapes can have a stroke from up here. We just typically do it from the FX button. There is a stroke up here. So we can click on that and choose a color. I'm going to choose red here. And that would give me a tiny red stroke. Now, again, be sure you're on the circle, not on the photo. We're stroking the circle area, okay? And then here we can make this bigger, like so. And then here is where that solid line is. And we can choose dashes or we can choose dots. And there's my dots. You can choose how to align the dots. Right now they're going on the inside of the circle. I can make them go right on the middle of the circle or around the circle on the outside. That's kind of totally your call. Another thing to check is under more options. If your gap is too big, you might have circles that run into each other. So you might need to modify that gap. I went with a 2 and that looked pretty good. All right. Now I will warn you, if you go and draw another shape now, it doesn't even matter what it is, honestly, but if I go over here and draw this other shape, a lot of times though, oh, sorry, it's stuck in the clipping mask. Let me pull it out. A lot of times those other shapes take on the properties of the last thing that you did. And notice there's no FX on here. So if that happens, you've got to clear the style that's set up here. So you would just change this back to no stroke and change this back to a solid stroke, kind of in reverse order here. And then you don't have to worry about that. But that's how you get that off of there. I just tell you that because that happens a lot and people don't quite realize that there is a way to get rid of it, but you have to do it up here. And you have to be on the shape tool to get to it. So it's kind of tricky. All right. So far so good. We've really only got one thing left here. Let's take a look at our beginning image. So we're looking good so far. We've got a couple of shapes to draw, and then we've got the text down there to deal with in a really short amount of time. So let's hit this corner. I'm going to go ahead and delete this heart because we don't need it. But we are going to use our pen tool to draw kind of a triangle, but not exactly either. Let's be careful here choosing shape. We're drawing a shape with our pen, not a path with our pen. All right, I'm going to go ahead and set this to red so that my shape will have a red color. Oops. Oh, I hate when that happens. Let's back up here. Oops. Oh, man. So many things. Okay. Before I draw the shape, if I change it, it's going to change my last one. So we'll do it afterward. I'm going to click in the corner to start this shape, kind of a triangle shape. And then click here. And then before we click over here, I want you to just think in your head, we're going to click and drag down. So don't let go. Ready? Click, drag down. Don't worry about that top part. That's just a handle up there. we're worried about that angle. We want the angle to look nice. So something like that. Okay. Oh, this is hard because I'm in the wrong place here and you can't see. Anyway, what we need to do is grab this handle and we're going to hold Alt and you'll get a little kind of a PP there and then rotate that handle. And I can't see mine. I really probably need to back up here. Yeah, you just can't see it. Let me zoom out. All right, so I'm going to draw this again. Sorry. Here, click and drag. All right, so I've got my handle down there. See that handle? I'm going to hold down Alt and point here and get this triangle thing and then turn it all the way around because I want it to go back up straight, okay? Now I can click and close this. There, all right? So there's that shape. So that's just a good shape to know how to draw, and now I'll make it red. All right. Very common shape. You see that a lot on different projects. Okay, so we've got that going on. And we're going to do another cool little feature, and then we're going to hit that word down there at the bottom. We're going to come down here to your background layer, and what you'll notice is there's kind of a page peel effect. See this little page peel? It's like it's pulled back. So what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate the background. That means click the background and drag down to the piece of paper, and then you get a copy of the background. So we have background and background copy. On the background copy, let's take a marquee tool, and we're just going to draw kind of a shape like so. And then take your gradient tool and be sure it's just set to a standard beginning gradient, that first one. And you're going to click in the corner and drag out. So top corner of the square and out to fill this with that color. Now this is on the background, so we turn this off and that's what it looks like, right? All right, now let's Control D to deselect that. Now this looks really bad right now, but what we're going to do now is Control T for transform handles and then right click to warp. And then we're going to take this bottom corner and we're going to turn it inside out. There we go. And see, it kind of looks like we're turning a page. Isn't that neat? And you could modify these if you wanted to, like you could pull it up or pull it down or whatever, but you know, who's got time for that? So let's go ahead and hit the check mark, and there we go. Very good then. All right, last thing, we're going to deal with the word strong. I'm going to click up here on strong. You could rasterize the text, okay, if you're going to erase on text. If I was going to grunge something out and just erase with like a messy, dirty looking eraser, I would rasterize the type. But as we all know, I like to do things non-destructively if at all possible. So I'm going to add a layer mask. I'm going to click on the layer mask so this says layer mask. Now here's the problem though. I'm not really very good at drawing. I mean, I could take a paintbrush here and a black and draw in black on this mask. Okay, like so. See, like I have, and I don't even have a mouse. I'm using a touchpad. That looks terrible, right? So if I wanted to put some little lines through here, the easiest thing would be to be on my layer mask, take my pen tool, and this time I don't want to draw a shape. I just want to draw a path. And then I'm just going to click, click, and then the path is going to go through the letters so that I have like nice straight lines since I am incapable of drawing straight lines. Where it goes outside the letters doesn't matter. We're just going to see where it goes inside these letters. Okay. Then the next thing that we have to do, so I'm done with my path. I'm just going to hit enter here. So I have a path. Let's go in here and you'll see here's my work path. I'm going to click on it. You see the path. Now I'm going to right click and I'm going to stroke this path. Now it's going to stroke the path based on whatever my current brush settings are. So let's take a minute and look at the brush settings. I do want to have kind of a hard brush, but you could play with this. Like you could try anything, you know, and see what happens. I don't want it to be crazy big, so we'll set it down like 6 or something. All right, so I'm going to click on the work path and stroke the path with the brush. Be sure to tell it to use the brush, and then OK. All right, there it is. Let me click off my path, and there we go. Now we have some like decent looking lines because I'm not good at drawing lines. All right, and if we zoom up, we can see here that's on there. And again, this is on a layer mask. So, you know, no big deal if we change our mind about it. We can either disable that mask or, of course, we can delete the layer mask if we don't like it. So I know sometimes when we're recreating on magazine covers, people have like parts of letters are missing. So kind of the easiest way to do that then would be to use, you know, if I wanted to get rid of the top corner, again, make me a pen path here. And I could just kind of go from here and here and here, just drawing a triangle to chop out that corner. And then when you do that, again, be sure you're clicked on the layer mask here, and then we can stroke the path. So you can right click and stroke the path, or fill the path rather this time. Again, you have to make sure you're filling with black. So I've got my foreground color set to black. I just go ahead and hit OK. And there we go. If I click off the path, you can see we've chopped off the corner. So Lots of neat little tools here. I hope that helps you out. Good luck.